Hello, can you hear me? Oh, the video is already on. Oh my god, what is that? I didn't even see that.
You
It's
could
daylight.
you
It's
could
day, but sorry. What?
can't tell when you're an AI engineer what day of time it is. All I know is when my credits renew.
Ah, yeah. Are you upgrading the plans yet?
What do you mean upgrading the plans?
I read several people that are like I used to switch between Gemini, Cloud Code, and other and Codex, and now I'm all in on Cloud Code, and I'm kind of in the same boat.
Yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in. I mean, that also gets to a point of the I would like to talk about with the latest Theo's video. Theo's video.
I haven't seen that
This
one.
this is the Theo's video reaction podcast for all
Yes.
those who are listening. I just
Oh,
wanted
did
to
you get to CloudBot even?
Yeah, I did. I did even. I set it up. I was maybe going to show you that if you haven't seen it already. I wanted
Uh,
to ask you.
okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to check in with you. How's your week been? Because it's been like 2 weeks since we spoke last, and I wanted to add there was another storm in England called Storm Ingrid, and that means that the train line between my station and London has been cut off until they fix it, which is freaking
Well,
me out.
sounds painful.
Yeah.
My week, it's actually very exciting because we've got a full green test suite on the rename of the Terraform CDK. So we're going to cut a pre-release, giving anyone the ability to pull it from the package registries. So I'm setting up the Maven and NuGet doing settings now, so
What do you
that
need? What do you need? Maven's a Java build system. You need that for CDK.
yeah, CDK for Terraform is published and available in all the GSI languages. And it was actually easier to just rename and get the thing. Like all of the integration tests are passing. Java, .NET, Golang,
Oh,
Python,
so
TypeScript.
you support like every language under the sun.
No, the
Wowzers.
the GSII question languages, right? The
Mm.
ones that are supported by the CDK Cloud Development Kit. Although if you look at the ecosystem, most people only or most projects only support TypeScript and
Python.
Python these days. Yeah, some don't even support Golang. I don't understand. I really like Golang, but it is a bit slow. When I run the tests, they are very fast on several languages, but they're a bit slower on
I,
on Golang,
I don't know if you
unfortunately.
I don't know if you remember TJ Holloway-Chuck's Apex app, but he wrote his tool in Go, and I think it interacted directly with Terraform, which makes me think that Terraform has some cool Go
Yeah, yeah.
binds.
Oh, very much. Like the whole of Terraform is written in Go. Although that HashiCorp has moved more of the interfaces behind an internal package so that you cannot access it externally. Like before 1.4, I think you could basically use any library that Terraform was using under the hood directly because they weren't using the internal one. But then they moved it for. It makes sense in terms of encapsulation and so that you can.
Yeah. So it makes me
Yeah.
think that if you're working in Go and you have your little Go program,
Yeah, but GSII doesn't work
you
like
might
that.
as well just integrate directly with Terraform or something like that. That's what I'm thinking aloud.
Oh, I see. Yes and no.
Yeah, and
Uh,
for complicated things maybe with
no, but the
the
thing is, right? Um, the way that the CDK works is it basically has the core written in JavaScript, right? Node.js. And when you run it in Java or Golang, and that's probably also why it's slow, it's actually running a Node sub-process. And I think one of the things that people are trying to do is to get that kernel, that GSII kernel system in Bun. Well, it would be a lot faster than having a whole
Oh,
Node.js
bun.
process. Yeah.
You
Bun,
call
yes,
it
sorry.
bun.
Bun is Vietnamese way of saying rice noodles. Bun. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
I can show you Claudebot because I just have a tab open, I noticed.
Yeah, sure. It just sounds, I don't know. When I read about it, it sounds like something
Well, the hype is
overly
the hype is crazy right now.
real. Yeah.
So essentially, I got. You remember I showed you that
You
I
have
had
multiple
my
IPs.
multiple IPs. So I basically got this running
Duplicate.
in a system D end spawn. So I didn't run out
Okay.
and buy a Mac Mini. I just set it up on my Raspberry Pi, and it was plenty fine enough. So I feel like this Claudebot should be getting a kickback from all the Apple sales because it runs just fine on a Pi. And of course, I configured it with with Anthropic stuff. I'm hoping I don't show
Well,
anything,
for
show my
CloudBot,
key or
it's
something crazy.
yeah, but for CloudBot, it's not. It's just still running inference remotely, right? There's no local LLM at all, right?
Well, I think that's where people are buying the Mac Mini is because I think there's a
Yeah.
promise that they can run the local LLM. But I mean, I don't really see the point. I'm not too sure why.
Yeah, because there's a resurgence in people talking about getting a Mac Mini for, I think it's for GLM, right? Because there's this project that came out that binds Cloud Code Shell using a proxy with the same bindings that Anthropic uses and cannot avoid. People say this is quite a solid way of using GLM. Uh,
What's GLM? Sorry.
GLM, I think is one of the Chinese, but it's on Hugging Face. It's like an open source.
Oh,
So
so it's
everyone's sharing about how great it is. It's from Z.ai. They are
never.
Chinese, right?
I had no. Well, the cool thing about the thing that there's two things that have sold Claudebot to me is that I can
Yeah.
interact with it on WhatsApp. I even have a group between my wife and I, and now we can just directly talk to Claude through WhatsApp. We can leave messages. We could send pictures. So instead of like launching a dedicated app, it's just the familiar WhatsApp interface. So that's the killer use case for using Claude for hosting Claudebot. And then you link it up to WhatsApp just like any other client, and you can just talk to it. So that's great. And I guess the other cool thing about Claudebot is it's running on one of my IPs. I guess the cron jobs. I mean, I don't know how you would do this with Claude or Codex or whatever. Like for example, you can set up a cron job running every so many hours,
Mm.
and then you just prompt it. You say like, check this URL for weather warnings and give updates. And then also I have another one called announce tomorrow's main event games.
You have a lot of storms, so you need weather updates to the minute now.
Yeah, we have a lot of storms. But to be honest, I'm not too sure if this is actually working. Yeah, we still have another weather warning. Run. And maybe I give you a demo on the phone. I have to switch my.
You actually have an external camera. That's pretty cool.
I
Or
use my phone as the external camera.
ah, maybe I should do that on my Omarchi setup because I have like this USB camera. It's really bad.
Okay, so let me show you what the experience is.
Oh, there's one big news also. System initiative. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Also, that's a weather
I
update.
saw it on LinkedIn myself. Say hello to Vincent in Vietnam. What's the weather there? What's the weather there? So so I have it sort of chatting to myself. You see Kai Hendry, it's like
Hmm.
configured to chat to me in my own
Why don't
self.
you use Telegram? I think Telegram setup a bot would be easier than WhatsApp. WhatsApp is painful.
Yeah, and I have it hooked up to Anthropic. So basically, this should be an Anthropic answer. And I've also hooked up the Brave API, so it should be able to do web searches better. I don't know, what did it say there?
Yeah, nice. It's like 48 degrees, not 48. What did it say? It's actually quite chilly these days
How
in
do
Ho
you
Chi
get?
Minh City.
I don't understand how to get rid of the bloody keyboard. It
Phones,
says,
maybe.
and then of course it knows where I am. So hey Vincent,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
in
it's a bit warm.
Vietnamese.
What, 16 degrees in Hanoi? You see the problem with 16 degrees? Consider 88 humidity. That makes it like double cold. If you have like, I used to live in Belgium where it was like minus, like sub-zero, and it felt warmer than Hanoi. Because Hanoi 16 degrees with that humidity is just annoying. You know, all your clothes clamp to you.
No,
Yeah,
clinging.
yeah, cling. And then the houses they have like these paper thin walls and windows, and there's no central heating. Like if you're in Europe, you go home, you take off your coat, and you're cozy inside your house. And when you come out, you still have all of that warmth inside your body, and you don't feel the cold for a while. But in Hanoi, you're you're wearing a jacket inside the house. You're in this humidity, and when you go outside, you're already freezing before you go outside. So you're just constantly cold. That's how I
But
feel about living in Hanoi.
but but wait a minute, you're in Ho Chi Minh, I thought.
Yeah, but it's going to be Lunar New Year, and my family and in-law is from the north, so I'm gonna have to go. I've avoided it, but Lunar New Year is always in this January time, and then it's always cold.
Oh no, so your wife is from the north, is she? Huh.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh well, so that's Claudebot. Yeah, I saw the system
Interesting.
initiative news because I should actually be
What news did you see though? Because it's actually much more spicy than what it looks like.
okay. So first order is that there's FOSDEM next week. I'm going there,
Is it, and Adam is going to be there? Adam
and
Jacobs? Or?
there's this thing called config management camp. I think I told you about this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you said that you were really excited to get a demo of System Initiative from them. And I
Well,
sent a message. Are you
that
still
was
sure you're going to get it?
well, no, I mean I've had the spiel a year or two ago.
Yeah.
But this config management camp, if you're an infrastructure engineer, I think this is probably the best the best infrastructure sort of centric conference I've ever been to. But yeah, last year I bumped into Adam there, and I had a good old chat.
Oh, Adam
Oh,
Jacob
there,
is giving a talk,
yeah. So, ooh,
the CEO and co-founder, and now the
so
only employee.
yeah,
So the news that I saw on LinkedIn was um, a person called John posting that System Initiative is ending, and I'm looking for a new position.
I saw
That
that.
And then the repost from Adam Jacobs being, and the funny thing is about LinkedIn, if you put paragraphs, it only shows the first paragraph. So Adam Jacob reacted with like, John is a really great person to work with. Anyone who has the opportunity to hire him is lucky, blah, blah, blah. And then there was like this little more dot, 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 right? And I hadn't opened it. And it was like, oh, wow, SI is shutting down. Unfortunately, or fortunately, you have to click the more, and below the fold, he says, and SI is not shutting down, it's just drastically reduced.
Yeah,
And that was very funny to post it as a second paragraph because it really made it not look like, if you didn't look carefully, it really looked like SI is shut down. But
yeah. I mean,
then I went, yeah.
I mean that's the what do you call it? Every startup sort
Well,
of.
it's not a startup, right? How much VC money did they take, and how long have they been like working on this? Like 4 or 5 years already. You know, I've heard about
Well,
them back in
more
COVID.
like I think
5 years.
the first demo I saw was 2 years ago, maybe max.
Okay, Google the total VC money raised and when it was first announced. I'm betting it's around 2019 or 2020 that it was
Well,
first
I
announced.
don't know how much VC you got. I mean, this is just the story of every startup that doesn't quite succeed,
Well, I just don't think it's
Vincent.
very fair because
Fair,
these
fair on
people,
what?
because they just raise money like it's water because of their
That's
legacy.
normal. That's normal, man. That's normal. As Europeans, we're just not used to like
Yeah, that's the
proper
whole thing
VC money.
about this whole what's happening between Europe and America now, and everyone's saying every startup that in Europe, tends to be successful just leaves Europe and raises money in the US and ends up
Yeah,
being
yeah.
built out
Like,
in the US.
come on, you need a bunch of cash to hire like a couple of good engineers for Christ's sake.
I
So
think you should have a working demo. I guess he did have a working
he
demo.
did
I don't
have
know.
a
I never
working
watched.
demo. He did have a working demo, and I guess if you told me that they had customers and they shut down, then I'd be going, oh,
Mm. Yeah, so my opinion about SI is I was informed about it like back in 2020 as some exciting new startup. I looked at it maybe at a glance. Then at the start of the year 2025, I was looking for something to invest my time in, like in because I worked on my own project and that's kind of fun, but it doesn't really help with like it doesn't have a lot of visibility, right? It doesn't really prove much because there's no adoption. So I was looking, well, it depends, right? If you can get the
so
adoption.
you've been sort of comparing your projects to
No, no, no. I was more like I was looking at what is then if this isn't it what I'm working on, what is the next thing? And then I
oh, I see.
SI came on my radar again, so I went to the Discord asking, like in January, exactly a year ago, asking um like how to contribute and not asking, just saying as an introduction that I will spend some time into looking for a project and one of the SI people sent me a list of code to look at. Like here's the core way that we interact with the cloud API. This is how we do this and how we do that. And my first impression, I just exited the Discord at that point. I was like, that's not how I see the future of IIC at all. um, I understand the underlying principle of a programmable graph of nodes, and that's also what you get with like Terraform provider AWS. It has a
Yeah,
graph of nodes.
and System Initiative's visualization, I thought was the real
Yeah, but I'm
USP.
I've always been a huge fan of code first approaches. Even when I look at like the entity framework for like on .NET back with Microsoft, they had three ways of using the .NET entity framework. You could do code first, diagram first, or database first, schema first. And I always really preferred either schema first or database first. So you have an existing table and you extract it. And this idea of drawing a diagram and then having the code generated from it never really appealed me because you don't have the flexibility or power to define what you mean with just a diagram. Like a diagram is like two-dimensional representation. I just don't think it's a very good way of capturing information. I think you can generate a diagram from code. That makes sense to me. Um,
Mm.
you can annotate code with decorators that indicate or some type of indicating this is how you visualize this stuff on a diagram. That makes sense to me. Yeah.
The the sort of revelation. So I might have mentioned this CDK upgrade last chat that we had, right? So and it was kind of ruining my life because I told you there was like 2 years of breaking changes or something like that.
Yeah, classic IC problem because IC is treated as is called code, but is not really treated as code. So
So
people don't put in proper CI/CD and stuff.
I'm not too sure I got into the details about the Kinesis library going stable and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I
The
think you mentioned it.
the thing was is that the code base is huge. It is huge. It's a very big organization, very big landscape. And running CDK synth is slow as hell, right? So I spent some time just getting UVX TY check to sort of run and to make
So you're
sure.
running Sent on a Python.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
slow as hell.
yeah. Yeah, that's probably a problem with GSII. And
It,
this is a common complaint I heard about it.
yeah.
It's slow in Golang too. It's super slow compared to
So
JavaScript.
what I wanted to say when it comes to infrastructure enhancements is that CDK has the promise of doing a quick type check to make sure that everything's kind of okay, right? Just like Go has strong typing, you
Yeah.
you can shoehorn typing into CDK, and I think the
No, 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 no,
GSSI.
no, no. Hold on. Hold on. The problem here is the language, right? You're talking about typing on Python and being slow.
Well, it's not actually that slow. When I was running TY check, the new tool
Mm.
from Astral, it's better than I don't know what the other one was called. The Python one was.
Rough check? Rough?
No, it wasn't rough. It was called. Oh man, I forgot. So, long story short, is that I managed to sanity check some of my code base in light of the module name changes just by doing type checking this
Hmm.
UBX type. So basically, it yeah, it helped me get faster feedback. I didn't need to have my AWS set up.
Mm.
I didn't need to run CDK synth.
Mm.
It really.
It does sound like the idea of because TypeScript is the core of GSII, right? You can't have GSII without TypeScript. TypeScript is how it creates all the bindings to other languages,
Yep.
and it's very much focused on fast type checking.
Yep.
And this is my biggest complaint about all the other like infrastructure as code solutions aside from Pulumi is that they don't really have proper type checking or even a type
Oh, really?
system, right?
Oh, I didn't know that about Pulu.
Terraform.
Well, I thought
No, no,
Pulu.
I said aside from Pulumi.
Oh, aside from. Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
Pulumi.
and you can probably talk about Forme and Pickle, but those guys are absolute hacks, so I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay, so. Okay, hold on. Let me just have a sip of coffee and try to make my point once more.
That it was extremely slow in Python and that you had a lot of issues. But to me, the problem is Python, and
No,
that's
no, no.
probably
Well, I mean, maybe you're right, but I mean, I've worked with CDK on and off for some years, but it only just occurred to me that type checking is absolutely critically important for infrastructure, just because it gives you that a really powerful shift left error check that everything's kind of going to be okay. You know what I mean? Because like what I'm trying to say is that a lot of projects that I work with the clients, their type check just doesn't work, right? It just doesn't work. It's broken, and and then of course things break down the road, and then you're wondering why that things broke. It's like, well, maybe you should have done some type checking earlier, sort of thing. So that's the point I'm trying to make. And I guess since you work with TypeScript, you get the type check feedback immediately, right? The whole
yes.
experience is pretty sweet.
No, but like the whole reason why I use CDK is exactly for the ability to define strong schemas and types around constructs, around composable infrastructure, right? Terraform has the concept of a module to compose your infrastructure. Terraform is by far the largest or the most adopted today, right? And everybody loves the very simple HashiCorp config language. But in terms of type system, it doesn't really do or provide much. In Terraform modules, you can define a variable. Those are basically your properties or your inputs. Those variables can have complex types, but there's no concept of having a type definition that you can apply to multiple variables, for example. So if you have something complicated in your modules, and you can then start arguing, yeah, but you're using the cloud wrong. If you're doing complicated modules, start, I'm telling you,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
inevitable.
yeah. So long story.
And exactly what your experience is, right? I mean, infrastructure typing is completely lacking and very important, but requires a huge amount of upfront work, which is not realistic for most organizations, right? You can't expect a platform team to fully define and keep up to date a cloud interface that you're exposed to. That's impossible. Like, you have a job to do, you know? You don't have a job just to maintain it.
I hope I'm sure you would agree with me that, like, if there's any infrastructure trend, or the biggest thing in infrastructure in the last 2 years is basically type checking. It's probably it's probably what I want to allude to.
Okay, that's an interesting idea, because I have a lot of discussions with Terra Team, and Terra Team, they are a small Terraform automation and collaboration solution. So they are there's two people, Malcolm and Josh. I know I forgot his name, and they are fans of OCaml, right? Very strong type systems. They built this Terraform state reimagined using state graph. And I think ideas like state graph, they basically re-implement the whole Terraform state idea and the way that you run Terraform apply by breaking down whatever's in your state to individual resources, so that you can have a massive monolithic state, but you can lock individual components of your state. So you don't get the big, like right now, Terraform locks the whole state file, and you cannot have two people locking the same state file, or you get conflicts, right? So the solution is people break states down. So they address this problem by changing the API around the Terraform state in state graph. That's their main contribution in state graph, is to basically provide a new runtime across the Terraform state, reuse all the Terraform providers, and it's it's kind of like, I mean, to be honest.
So to break down the state and make it composable or something like that, or?
Yes. So basically they use database row level locking around resources rather than locking the whole state file. So because Terraform treats the state as a single file, and you'll either lock the whole file or you need to require a lock on the whole file and all.
But a lot of like Terraform shops would obviously break down the state by
but
environment,
that creates a lot of other
accounting.
issues. Yes, and then you get problems with cross-state dependencies and coordination. You need to orchestrate jobs to run and lock individual components or apply them. And you have a lot more problems that you already have solved by the state graph or by the Terraform graph. Right. So Terraform, when it runs, it creates a graph of all of your resources within the state, but it locks the whole state file.
Yeah,
so
what they say, I mean, CDK has this problem too. So just state graph,
course, because CDK is just using Terraform. But the thing is, I have a lot of discussion with Malcolm and Josh around the type system into infrastructure as code, and they really, like, when I talk to them, I said type system is the most important. That's why I work on CDK, because it provides me a TypeScript system without forcing anyone to use another tool, right? Unlike Pulumi, where you have to then, adopt a different runtime. You have politics about what people's or platform teams want to support. You don't have to do these arguments. You can just tell anyone, like, look, we're still delivering you as a team, we're delivering you Terraform configuration, and that fits nicely in your pipeline. Let's not argue about how we generate this Terraform config, right? And so basically, what I like about the CDK is that it gives you that capability, but it adds a very strong type system on top. So as a product team or as a platform team, I get much more powerful tools, like what you just said. I can shift more of my validation early. And they agree with me, like a type system is very important as OCaml.
I mean, that said, there's many a Python project, which doesn't do the type checking, but carry on.
And so they agree with me regarding the fact that type systems are very important because they prefer strongly type languages as well. And that's kind of a shift in the industry as well, right? Before, people really like, runtime type systems and so on, but now it's more compile time systems. People have learned that that's really efficient. And they don't agree with me that this is possible with infrastructure, because the APIs around the infrastructure do not provide you strong schemas or strong type checking mechanisms. So if you look at the Terraform provider for AWS, it doesn't, like, for some resources, or even the AWS service API doesn't really give you a strong schema. It just says we accept a JSON document, And that JSON document follows a certain schema, but that's not part of the that's not part of the Terraform configuration file. There's no validation against that schema until you run Terraform apply. So we're kind of monkey patching a schema on top of it using CDK, right? Where the problem exists actually at the lower level because the Terraform provider itself, who's been built against the cloud API, does not expose the internal type system of the API we're talking to. It gives you maybe one layer.
There's quite a few layers, isn't there? There's quite a few layers.
So that's where a lot of people I talk to when we talk about like we really like Terraform, but we weren't able to find adoption because we don't have a large library of strongly typed classes and interfaces for multiple clouds, right? And several organizations have built their own libraries. Like now that I'm part of the maintainers of the Terraform CDK community fork, I've talked to several organizations that we have built 2 years of AWS type system like classes around AWS services. And we really depend on this for all of our product teams. So they are a platform team. They build these strongly typed objects, but it's all private, right? And I'm like, why is everyone building these individual private libraries, unlike the AWS CDK, which is a public massive library that everybody can use? And as long as everybody uses a shared library, then it's worth it, but it must exist. And that's the biggest problem with Terraform CDK. Nobody ever built such library. So using Terraform CDK didn't give you much benefit unless you had the ability to have such access to such library, right? So it's kind of like a networking effect. The moment you have a large enough library, you will be able to get more people interested, and then you will have more people to contribute to this large library. It's a networking effect, right? And so my solution to that is to automate the porting of the AWS CDK on top of the CDK for Terraform.
And of course, AI has helped do all that cool stuff. But I thought you were going to allude to this whole state management problem. I mean, what's the solution for that?
So for the state, the way that they didn't really change much. They also create a resource graph and a state, right? They just made the connections on the nodes. So within the state resources, like on Terraform, you have a resource, which is a subnet or an EC2 instance. That's a single node within the graph, right? And on that node, you have actions like create, read, update, delete, right? CRUD. And those actions, they're all tied to API calls or to executable hooks, basically. When you change the configuration, one of the actions is being invoked declaratively based on, this is desired, this is actual, this is I need to do an update because it exists, but the attributes are different. And as long as the attribute is not a destroy, like an attribute that is immutable, it means that I can update. If it is an immutable attribute, I have to destroy and recreate, right? So that idea is the same in system initiatives as far as I understand. But instead of using Terraform providers, hard compiled Golang binaries, they built more of like a scriptable graph. So those nodes
on top of
So they kind of reinvented Terraform providers as more of a scriptable node system. That's what I understood. Like again, I looked at it, the way that they scripted it using AWS CLI calls.
But let's not talk about system initiative. I mean, like surely.
But that's the same for the state graph of Terraform, right?
But I don't know what you're planning for CDK, but like, if you told me that that CDK could become better at decomposing state, then that would be a very cool future to look forward to in infrastructure as code, wouldn't it?
I don't see that as a responsibility of the higher level library of cloud components, right? I'm building a higher level library. It generates Terraform configuration.
So some other stack is going to do that.
If state graph from Terra team becomes like super effective at executing these resources and coordinating them, and is more efficient than Terraform executable, then the fact that the CDK for Terraform that I built renders down to Terraform configurations and goes straight into state graph, and you get
Okay.
both, right?
I need
You get
to.
the high level component, and you get the low level execution engine that can improve the speed of applying it. I see a perfect collaboration there. Like we're
Okay.
living in two different layers.
But StateGraph is a it's not an open source community driven thing, is it? We
I
need it.
thought it was open source, but I'm not sure. I know that they're going to launch it this like within
Yeah.
Q1 of this year.
Yeah, I
They've been
think
doing demos.
this definitely seems to be where
It looks like
infrastructure.
they're rebranding Terra Team to StateGraph, by the way.
It definitely seems to be the next step for infrastructure.
Yeah, I think you can approach the existing ecosystem of Terraform from both angles, right? The lower angle is a better execution engine than Terraform or OpenTofu. The other side, sandwich, is a better type system and composable object definition. Anyway, I feel like we talk about this on almost every podcast.
Yeah, well, it's
I just why did we
so
talk about this? Because of the announcement of SI, me being like I'm not convinced, you saying I will get a talk call with Adam to understand it better. Me, I think that's right because I really don't
cool. No,
understand.
I'm just meeting him up in the conference. I've System Initiative basically bought drinks and I think dinner last year. So I don't know who's going to buy the dinner for all the geeks in Ghent next month. So that's a bit worrying. Am I going to
Yeah.
have to pay for my own dinner? Oh my, and drinks? Oh goodness. Oh, okay, let's maybe take the conversation back to AI. I don't want to. I'm not too sure
Yeah.
everyone listening is interested in infrastructure, but
Yeah, no, there's a lot of news in AI other than this
yeah, I
SI.
want. Let me just go through the points that I thought were good. Of course, I was exploring the whole speech to text thing, and I thought Handy was
Yeah, I
great.
wanted to see that, what you did. I
It
thought
was.
it's a funny name for a project though, Handy.
It's great. Like maybe I could demo it to you right now. Can I demo it to you? I think it
Yes.
works. It just works great. I got it running here, so let's see. Hey, Vincent, and hey, listeners to the AI Infrastructure Podcast. I'm using Handy here to transcribe my speech to text. So the idea is that, like, instead of me typing like a caveman, I can just riff to Claude Code or some other Copilot text area to say what I want. But in all honesty, I feel like bigger prompts don't really get you anywhere. You should just carefully enter every word. But nonetheless, I do think it was just a little fun idea. So you can see it's like super fast.
Mm.
Let me see if I can. Am I
Does
sharing
it
my?
cut out? Because, okay, I like this dictation a lot when I use ChatGPT on my phone, and I will sometimes talk for a long time and then mid-sentence change my mind and maybe duplicate, like repeat myself. And what I saw is the text-to-speech in ChatGPT, it kind of shortens and like
Oh,
captures what I want
summarizes
to
it.
read.
Yeah, it fixes everything.
Yeah, it
That's
fixed things up. Yeah.
yeah. So I think I did a few ums and ahs, but I can't really remember. Like, let me try and make a mistake and then see what it does.
Like say something and then go back and say
Yeah.
something else.
Ooh, is it? Oh yeah. Sorry. Good morning. I mean, good evening. How are you all doing today?
It's definitely going to capture the whole thing.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. Like
It's more like, I don't
maybe
know.
when I say like when I mispronounce something or
Yeah,
something.
when you like mispronounce something and then say the right thing. So, for
Uh,
example,
yeah. Give,
hello, Vincent. Hello, Vicent. Sorry, no, that's still gonna go through. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
okay.
I,
I got it. Okay. Let me try something. Hello, Vincent. Oh no.
it did capture everything.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
curious now how ChatGPT would do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, doesn't matter.
So
It's
the
pretty
speech,
cool already.
it's pretty cool. But I guess you're right. Once you've got the text there, then the
You
brilliant thing
edit
about
things.
well, the brilliant thing is that you just have another pass with it in with AI to fix it up. But
And I often dictate, and then I know that I'm actually went wrong, but then I just keep going, and I know that I'll go
yeah,
back
that's the only way. I
and
mean,
move where I went wrong.
that's been
Yeah.
the problem for with dictation for decades now. It's like you can't easily.
Because you have to like compose
Yeah,
your
you can't
thoughts
say
at the
like
same time as.
you can't say full stop, go back. It just doesn't work. It just messes up. So
But
so that
it's. Did you try any others? Because like there's Parakeet, there's Super Whisper, there's
well,
like Flow
I've
Whisper.
tried Whisper on the
I just use
CLI,
Parakeet.
but this one was using Parakeet, and it was just fine. I mean,
Nice.
I'm definitely of the opinion, like as a software engineer, I'm always, I've always sort of subscribed to the suck less approach about reducing noise and
Mm.
things like this. And I think I'm just going back to my principles here because the bigger the prompts, the more context you have, the worse sort of experience you have with AI. So basically, I'm not going to pursue this too madly. I just wanted to explore what was there, and this leads me on nicely to this YouTube video. I don't know.
Curious.
Did
I
you see
didn't
it?
watch it.
But like,
No.
okay, it's 40 minutes long, but the summary I think was I think I got the order wrong. He he basically said that like you're using AI wrong, and
Mm.
this is I was actually at my client last week, and I feel this is just the same thing. It's like you talk about you talk about AI to people, and they say, "Oh man, I tried it. It sucks. It doesn't understand. Like the results are terrible. It just gets slop." So so Theo basically says you got to give the right context. You got to give the absolute right context, otherwise you will get bad results. And this is such a subtle skill to basically tell.
It's like Google Foo.
It's exactly it's such a skill to do this, and I'm actually observing just with my own colleagues, with my peers, that
You don't know how to Google.
they don't know how to Google. It's mad. And then the other thing, of course, as we know, like anything that's like not Claude does suck so hard, it's ridiculous. And I have that. I also have that problem at work actually because we have Copilot with all the features pretty much disabled, and Claude. Yeah, we don't like. I think we do have Claude enabled, but we have like $10 of credit for the month. So
Eesh.
the minute you have like the smaller session, you have to like come back in the 1st of February. I'm like, how can you run
It's
the
like
organization like this?
the moment you ask it to do something, it goes into a plan sub agent, and then it just stops the agents mid plan and goes like, and then you
Exactly.
can't even get the plan. It goes like, oh, you're another credit. Sorry,
Exactly. Like
agent finished with no output.
one thing I noticed is that if I use Claude through Copilot, it seems to consume way more tokens, and like your premium requests are over.
Wow.
Anyway, and then the other thing is that old chestnut. You've banged on about it for a few podcast episodes, but like too much MCP, you're going to have a bad time. And then bad environments. This gets onto the whole type checking thing that we were talking about earlier. And this is such. I mean, maybe it's just me and my experiences with these clients that I have. Like, how many times have I checked out a code base and basically it just like things are scattered around in some folder. Like it's got to work on the root of that folder. It's got to have a make file. It's got to have everything, the tools, everything there so that you can just run make test or make
Basic
check.
repo hygiene and
Exactly.
DevOps like SRE,
But
CI/CD setup,
yeah,
right?
hygiene is often completely, there's some tech debt that's never addressed. The hygiene, it's like, oh yeah, the project, yeah, you have to go into this
We'll get to
directory.
it.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Yeah. So basically, these things trip over AI all the time, and like,
Yeah.
I'm having to argue with people like, please, we need to fix this, otherwise we're just
Okay,
gonna.
so I got something for you.
Okay.
So I went to a fireside chat at a company here in Vietnam, and I don't know, maybe we did talk a lot already about this. They went heavy in on AI. They invested originally a year ago. They already bought Cursor for Everyone. Now they have 8,000 subscription or spend on Cloud Code with Anthropic, spread across their teams. And
Nice. So they must be
they,
doing well.
yeah. They are measuring productivity gains of 30%, but they
How
feel
how
like
how they're measuring that, by the way?
because this is a guy who used to organize DevOps events in Vietnam, and he really is like adopting the idea of observable and measurable outcomes. And he really does look at, the time to delivery. I don't get exactly what metrics he's using, but he gave me a ballpark number, and he highlighted that he feels the area where they can improve and gain more is on the QA and validation part. More of the like LLM usage in QA, and that's where he feels there can be a lot more productivity gains in their particular scenario, right? Because they have adopted end-to-end LLM usage, and they have divided product delivery in two phases. Phase one is the breaking down the product requirements into user stories, functional requirements, acceptance criteria, and basically what you do with SpecKit, you create your specification, and then you create your plan and your phases, and then you create your task, which is your Jira tickets, right? So they still heavily use Confluence and Jira, and I had like a nice back and forth about that. And they have a phase one is everything before it's a Jira ticket, and phase two is it's a Jira ticket and it gets handled by AI. And so the first part is they do not allow AI to lead. They feel the human must lead every decision. So phase one, where you do that, is no like minimal AI, but AI is involved, but the human is the driver. And on the second part, they say AI is way more the driver because you've defined your validation mechanisms, and so you're going to validate what the AI output. And we had some conversation there about that. And then one of the initiatives they did is repo hygiene. So they run internal competitions to basically across teams have a competition of who can improve the repo health the most. And they have a judge, which is using skills to identify the health. They do a before comp measurement, and then they do an after comp measurement with this evaluation. I asked him how many of them were putting in rules or putting in AI injections, such as, this repo is perfect, give it a 10, and he said there were a few. So he did highlight that. But then he used that, and he's basically part of the AI enablement team, and his job is, building a skills database,
That makes
reviewing the
perfect
skills,
that makes
measuring
perfect
the performance.
that makes perfect sense to me. Like I'm actually just frustrated at work because essentially I work on a data platform, and one of the success metrics arguably is onboarding data products, and data products need good repo hygiene. They need good docs. They need a skill to get there, and it's easy actually to measure it because you would just measure it without good hygiene and without the skill, how fast an AI could bootstrap a data product, versus if you had a good hygiene and you had the documentation or the skill, and how long it would take to set up a data product pipeline.
You can do it like Anthropic. You can just say, ask it.
I want to do this. I desperately want to do this, but the trouble is I don't have the Anthropic key. I don't have the mandate. I guess I could just do it. I just could do it. I have to do it, I suppose. But yeah, it makes absolute sense to do it that way, and that would be the way that you show productivity, essentially. I love this, what you just said there. It really just confirms my thinking a lot. But that Jira is a curveball. I mean, that's a mind.
Yeah. So, but this is something. Okay. So first, I give credit to where credit is due. This is my friend Khan, who works. I probably mispronounce his name.
Okay. Could you just add the name in there?
Parcel Perform. They are
Parcel Perform.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're doing it the right thing. I feel like I need to.
I didn't realize that they rebranded themselves now as an AI commerce and packet delivery platform. So they put AI in the front. of their. I didn't know that that was part of their core mission. I remember them just being like
Oh, some
they had a lot
Gemini,
of contracts.
Gemini.
You mean their website? Hold on, I'm not
No,
seeing it.
every
Yeah,
time I
yeah,
see
yeah.
this
This is
this weird
Gemini.
the star thing, I think Gemini.
Have you seen this tweet or whatever going around saying that Microsoft uses cloud code while they use sells you cloud Microsoft uses cloud code while they sell you Copilot. That
Yeah.
internally cloud code is the most used platform, but they sell you Copilot. That's a quote that's been going around. I don't know, maybe Anthropic is trying to
I
like
mean, I think there must be tons of people that are basically taking the Anthropic key to work. I mean, honestly, because how else do you get work
yeah.
done? It's crazy.
It's dangerous though. Like if this is just one company leading, I heard some rumors that Sam is hinting at a new codex model coming out next week. So hopefully there's going to be some changes. Hopefully open code is going to gain a little bit more market share.
Sorry, can you repeat that? There's going to be another non-Claude released next week, like OpenAI, or what did he
No,
suggest?
no, there was like some suggestion that a new codex model, ChatGPT
Mm,
codex model coming out next week. So
okay.
maybe this will be an Opus
I mean,
upsetter. It's not just Opus, right? It's also the shell,
yeah,
right?
I guess, yeah, I want competition. I do want competition, but it just annoys me that OpenAI has a lot of,
Other initiatives
well,
like health.
no, well, yeah, ads. OpenAI has a lot of like, it's got a big name, doesn't it? So like, oh, OpenAI is, like you'll have your pointer head bosses saying like, oh, there's this new 5.2 codex model. We should use that everywhere. But like, it sucks. It
Right.
sucks. Have you ever done
Okay.
some evaluation against Claude? It's like I've tried it. It sucks. I don't know
But what
how they're
Anthropic
worth
is doing
billions of
to their
dollars.
ecosystem is bad, though. Like I have a friend. He built Agent Shell, and he says the way Anthropic treats other agent shells is really harmful, and it's really
Mm,
destroying. So that actually opens the door for OpenAI saying like, hey, we don't do that. We want you to use Codex in your agent shell because their Codex honestly is pretty bad. I haven't used Codex lately, but it was so bad every single time I tried it, so
yeah,
I gave up.
but like for me at this point, I just want to. I'm not even thinking about competition right now.
Right.
I just want to use Claude and build things and get stuff done at this point. Can we just
Maybe
use this
that's you should make a
opportunity?
blog. Or you can buy the domain name. I just want to use cloud. And then you tell people if you're tired of the AI initiatives at your office, just point them to this website. I just want to use cloud.ai. You can pay like $50,000 for the domain name. That's like free advertisement for Anthropic.
Oh,
They
there's a
should do.
Claude Code. I just noticed this Claude Code Anonymous.
Oh,
Cool.
in London. Nice.
I need to go to that
Yeah, so
if the train works.
I did a few fireside chats with companies and brown bags, and I was like, after the parcel perform, I felt like, oh my God, I really am not in the right company because there's all these other companies are leading
Yeah, it's
initiatives
like
on this. But I can tell you that's not true. I just talked to another company and they barely started with, and I won't name them. They barely started with an AI initiative. They just, started to consider it. I gave them a talk because I did a keto workshop as well. And there was a couple of things that you talked about with the misconfiguration of your setup. One of them being the MCP overuse, and the instructor, who is a developer advocate at AWS, who was giving the keto workshop, highlighted where MCPs are still relevant, which I thought was a pretty nice part of it. And he also split the work that you do in two parts because vibe coding still has a function, and he highlighted it that in Kiro, when you open Kiro, you have the option to go in the full spec-driven development flow or to go into a vibe coding session. And this is kind of like one of the only, well, maybe Kiro is the first spec-driven development and everything else is already vibe coding. But the fact that they make it so different is very nice because he says when you're learning the domain, you don't understand the problem space, going into a vibe coding session and building something helps you identify
Yeah,
potential issues, right?
exactly. Like it gives you the POC before you do it. Like this is what I'm doing all the time. And like with vibe coding, I'm just getting the minimal viable product and then making sure it works. And then I spend time engineering it into the client's code base. I mean, not
He
the
went
same.
even
Not,
further.
yeah.
Yeah, probably what you were just about to say. He quoted a book, which is the philosophy of software engineering or software development. And in that book, they say the first version of the application you write is probably not your best version, and you better
Oh
throw it
yeah,
away,
that's a good point.
right? So what you just said, like I vibe code an MVP, and then I go to the client with like a more concrete specification. That's exactly what they were saying during the Kiro workshop. Is you use a vibe coding session, and that's where you maybe define some of your steering documents, because within Kiro the constitution of SpecKit is a steering doc, and it can live at the project or global level, and it gives the AI information about this project, and you can even define where the steering doc applies. Like this applies, is it monorepo? This steering doc applies to the backend, and these are the rules. This is what we've learned about the domain that are part of the way that you need to approach this and design this application, and it's really really nice. Kiro, I want to buy $100 Anthropic subscription, but I also want to get more
But
hands-on with
I
Kiro.
don't know who was telling me, but it could be just lies. Kira doesn't have Anthropic, right?
It does.
It
So
does.
I'm on the free plan right now, and I have Anthropic only Sonnet 4.5 and Haiku. I don't have Opus. If you pay $20, I think, a month, I think you do get Opus 4.5. And then there was during the workshop, some questions about how do you decide which model to use. And he said that he actually uses Opus for the code and Sonnet for the plan. I'm doing the opposite. I'm doing Opus for the plan because I want that plan to be good. And then I want Sonnet to like use minimal cost and just write the code. But he says, you better get your code right. It's more important that Opus gives you right code. And Sonnet is good enough to make the plan. And then from the Opus code, you're going to go back and update the plan anyway. And it's better that Sonnet doesn't go off and do something silly. And then this says that the plan doesn't work. But Opus did like a really complicated plan. It kind of makes sense to me. It just feels like
So
it's more expensive to go that way.
actually, that's one thing I wanted to establish with you is basically the workflow of AI. So just going back to what you said, let me just try and summarize the workflow. It's like vibe code a POC, then spec your, I don't know, what do you call it? Create your spec.
They call it in Kiro, they call it the requirements. In SpecKit, they call it the spec. Yeah, it's you specify your requirements.
So and then the next step would be to let the agents implement it, right?
No, after spec, you need to create the design. So the spec is just like, as a user, I want to do this as a functional requirement, right? And then the design is where like, we're going to use this library. This is the tech stack.
Oh, okay. I thought
We're
I
going
thought
to do
you were showing me a flow where you just let the AI decide that sort of stuff.
yeah, with SpecKit, I give it you have organizational standards on what is the tech stack that you want to use. You want to use a
Okay.
Golang monorepo. Maybe
Okay.
you prefer to use, I don't know, you want to use HTTP router, or you want to use another router system that, is the most common across your organization.
Okay.
And this is the type of observability that you want to put in place. So that's where you do the technical design. And then from the technical design, you generate a task list. And both SpecKit and Kiro have the idea of identifying the MVP, because and in SpecKit it's really about MVP. In Kiro it's more about minimal requirements. So it's gonna generate a task list, and it's gonna highlight this is a this is a required task, and this is an optional task. And then you can focus on the required tasks first, and then you can go on and do the optional tasks.
Yeah, like
And
dependency tree and yeah. I mean, it's so clever. I love this stuff. I love this stuff. Like, how many times am I organizing work in my day job, and it's just so tedious to go into Jira just to say that, hey guys, you need to do this one before this one, and then I love working with AI because it just does that very, very cleanly, or helps
It
you do
does it
it.
very nicely, yeah. Kiro still uses Markdown to represent the task list. I don't know if they're gonna adopt a more advanced task tracking system that Beats gives us, right? Because a lot of systems, even Cloud Code, is adopting a system similar to Beats. Basically, the ability to define dependencies between tasks is coming to Cloud Code directly now.
Yeah, I'm just, yeah. Please use
And you know,
Claude.
Beats been forked into a Rust copy because the guy was like, Beats is getting too many customizations purely for
Oh
gas now,
yeah, I
and he
saw that.
rebuilt it.
Yeah, who
It's Stay
rebuilt it?
Pete, I
Sorry.
think. I think it's or it's the other guy, Dickless Worthless, whatever,
Yeah,
Worthless Dick. Funny GitHub name. But he built
sounds
a
like
Beats
A
Rust.
good Belgian name. I was gonna say next.
Dick Franken. Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
so and then let the agents implement it. This could be your Ralph Wiggum, but I mean whatever.
So I think we really didn't do Ralph Wiggum justice. Just today, I saw another YouTube video about it, and it went into like, you're probably doing Ralph Wiggum wrong. And they're really going into a lot more details about how do you tell the agent what is the next most relevant task to pick. That's really a crucial part of Ralph Wiggum. It's not just like
Well,
going into,
I like to think that Beads Ready can
yeah,
basically is all you need.
yeah, I think so. But like, I haven't really used it properly. And I think
Yeah, I mean
I thought it's just a loop, but it's a bit more than just a loop.
to be
I
honest,
definitely want
I
to
don't
revisit
really
it.
do this stuff because I'm not implementing something big from scratch. I'm just working with an existing legacy code
Yeah.
base. The but the one thing I think the one thing I'm missing here is where the tests come in. Do you, so the let the agents implement it like
So what Kiro does is really nice.
with and create tests, or yeah, where does this all happen?
So with Kiro, like I think I mentioned this before, I saw a talk from November, and during the workshop they kind of reiterated on that, which is they have a formal after it generate the task. Sorry, after it generate the design. So you have the requirements, then you have the design. The design defines the tests that needs to be part of the plan, right? So the tests are written in a very specific format. So they give a system prompt, they train the model, and they have evaluations and benchmarks such that when Kiro asked the model, or the prompt that is sent to generate this design, in those tasks follow a very strict format that can be parsed by a tool. And after you run Kiro design, it goes into pre-work tool. Or is it post, or is it a post design tool? It's a tool that's available within the model agent shell, right? It's a pre-work tool, I think, and it kind of reads the markdown for these test cases, and it generates a property-based test. And usually that kicks in. The instructor told me that it kicks in when you have rules that are like always the system must always do this, like, or the system must
Ah,
never do this, and
so it's
then
like
it
the
will generate
musts and things like that.
yeah.
Actually, I don't understand what is a property based test.
So property-based testing is, I've used it once, and what it does is it allows you to define the invariants and the variants that must, um, the invariants that must always be true, and then the different variants that are part of the equation. And then it will basically do kind of like a fuzz test. It will generate all possible inputs for those variants, and then validate that the invariants are passing. So you assert that the invariants are still valid. So it's a fuzz test. It's like they say that they find a lot of errors in software where the system, for example, usernames must never contain special characters, and they are validating for like
Oh,
ampersand and an exclamation mark, but they don't validate for like emojis or these esoteric ANSI codes or whatever. And then with property-based testing, they catch this type of errors inside the systems because it's like a fuzz test. So I
but
there's a couple of
I
things.
get that, but you also just need normal unit tests, right? I mean,
Yeah, for sure. So that's from what I see when I used Kiro and from the workshop. I don't even think that it actually kicked in because I don't see the property-based testing there.
Okay,
So it does generate a whole
so they
bunch
were
of
just
tests.
riffing, I guess.
Yeah, because like I said, he did warn everyone before the test generation or before the design where it generates a test. He did mention that this only kicks in when there's certain like always and never. He really reiterated, he really emphasized it so much that I took notes because I thought like, hey, that must be something important. And then when
But you didn't see any.
no. I think what he wanted to say, and he didn't revisit it. What he wanted to say is, I think he quickly went through the requirements to look if there was any such statements. And then when he realizes, because we're doing a to-do app, right? It was a very like basic example. So in the workshop, it didn't really trigger this case. So because I tried to see, are there now property-based tests? And in the workshop, I don't think there were.
Yeah, I guess I'm just curious how people are building the tests. Like I've yet to. Yeah,
Yeah, every
because
time we talk, you always say this, and then I had this whole thing about like using end-to-end tests, integration tests, and now Kiro is doing property-based tests.
yeah, because when I looked at beads, it didn't actually seem to be running the tests at all.
But then you found out there actually was, right? Because
Well,
you
there
were
were
not
some
running it
tests,
right.
but
Yeah,
there were some tests, but the ones that I was actually more interested in the Russ Cox
yeah.
style test.
This looks like it's doing a property-based testing here. It says prop tests, or maybe prop test is just testing the attributes. Oh no, property-based testing. Yeah, so they do
Yeah,
are. This, I
that's
think
interesting.
I trust this guy more because he seems to really be doing a very solid like um I don't know. I need to. Everyone says careful with whatever you take from Steve because Steve builds software for Steve, and some people they are
Yeah,
more
this would
about like
be. Yeah, I mean, again,
I got to try it out.
the repo looks a bit of a mess. Like, look at this target old, target new. I mean, it
That's
looks like
probably like a fixture for a migration test. Looks like. So this is what I hate about people looking at repositories and saying it's a mess. Like I had a repo.
well, we're just talking about hygiene. I mean, this doesn't look good, man.
To me, the hygiene is not what are the different files that are in it. If the AI has the skills and the rules and knows how to iterate or work on it, that is hygiene. I don't think you can eyeball if a repo has good hygiene.
Come on, you can.
I
It's
don't think so.
human taste.
Because
This is where
and actually
this is where you need
it was a troll
you need
post.
someone with
The,
taste to drive AI.
I got trolled.
You got trolled.
So somebody posted on Bun subreddit and a very instigating post saying, so Bun has been acquired by Anthropic and now it turned into AI slop. And he took a screenshot, and on the screenshot he put a red arrow pointing at like dot cloud and pointing at like dot agents and pointing at skills.md or agents.md. He said, yeah, it's AI slop. And I was triggered, like I was ready to go. I was like, and then under the
Vincent,
screenshot,
the AI defender.
no, but it's because I've gotten this feedback and I feel like you don't even know how to use the tools properly and you're just gonna blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, there's a dot cloud, must be AI slop, right? So, oh my God,
Oh,
there's
okay.
like,
I agree with you. That's ridiculous.
yeah,
Someone jumping up and down with duck claw.
right. And under the screenshot, he put a note, sarcasm, by the way. Obviously, Bun has always had very good hygiene in terms of agents, directions, and rules, and therefore it's been AI managed for a long time, and it's still very good, right? I mean, and then in the comments, unfortunately, most people did not read the last
I
paragraph.
can't believe you
There
unread
were
it.
some people that were like going like, "Of course, it's been acquired by Anthropic. Of course, it's gonna go down the hill." Blah blah blah. Yeah, those were
I
caught.
can't believe AI is trained on Reddit. I mean, Reddit is such a loser zone. Sorry,
Absolutely.
a fun place. A fun place. Okay.
So much worse than X, right? I mean, X is obviously 10 times better, right, Kai?
I,
X is the beacon of humanity
I
and the
do.
last defense.
I do
Wait,
like
what
X,
did
but
they do
but
again with images of teenagers? I forgot. What was it?
okay, you're right. We should all be on Reddit. Okay, let's go back to this whole like iteration cycle. So what I wanted to ask you next, okay, let's just say,
Because
tests.
you went on again about tests, and I said yes,
Okay,
tests
and then like
are
I don't
solved
know,
problem. Kai, stop worrying about them.
infrastructure deploying the bad boy
Well, obviously you use Terraform CDK for that. Like obviously you want a
with
strong type.
Terraform CDK. Yeah, let's go
Actually,
with it.
it's called
But
CDK Terrain now. Anyway.
so I'm not gonna say who came up with this, but like I saw this video where basically they were talking about the life cycle of AI products, and basically, to my shock and horror, in a way, they were saying like, well, we can regenerate the whole application and
Of the specs,
from the spec,
based
and
off the
and I
specs.
was
Yeah.
going like, for real? Not sure you could do that, but like. I
I
don't
mean,
think
if you have an unlimited token budget,
exactly. I mean, yeah. I mean, like, I guess we will be there actually probably sooner than later. Like we'll get to a point where like when there's a test suite and a
didn't
spec, we can regenerate it. But I wanted to ask you, Vincent, Mr. Spec Kit, have you ever like nuked the code and just started again? I feel like this doesn't really
I
happen
mean,
in practice.
well, every time I use Gemini CLI, I had to nuke the
Well,
code and start again.
that's because it's generating shit.
Well, you asked me, did I ever nuke the code and start again?
Okay,
Straight answer.
that actually is a good point because if Claude or like let's say if there's a very good AI model generating a really good code, yeah, why would you nuke it and start again? I don't get it.
No, the main point that people are making here is the power of inversion of in legacy code bases, requirement documentation and diagrams were just the props to support the code. The code was the truth, and the moment the code was generated, often diagrams lag behind. When you inverse that power and you lead by spec, you basically get a much better documentation and a system to be able to understand why the code is the way it is. You understand the
Yeah,
intent of the system, and that's maybe an simplification to say we can just throw away all the code, but it is part of the idea that hey, maybe there's a new framework that allows us to take those intentions, those intents that are captured inside the spec, and recreate a system without hitting 100 edge cases that are not documented, right? That the code is exposing as a feature, or that not
but
as unintended feature. I
but
don't
you
know.
would agree with me. We're not there yet. I mean, geez.
No, but this is one of the main arguments. But okay, what you were saying just now, when you said we're going to be there eventually, I actually wanted to say, did you see the Bloomberg article or documentary about the amount of money that's being invested into AI and the AI bubble being $450 billion, too big to fail? And that's recently a Bloomberg documentary that came out that I think
I don't
would be
think I
interesting to
trust
watch.
anything from Bloomberg, but carry on. Well, yeah, I mean, like, actually, that reminds me. I was at the pub, and someone was telling me, "Aren't you concerned about AI? It uses so much water and electricity." And I'm like, "For real?"
You're living in the storms created by AI. No, I have the same because when I introduce AI into the Terraform CDK fork, I really am bracing myself. I'm afraid somebody will come along and says like, "You're ruining the planet."
But like,
I mean I understand this
I mean, you and I are excited about AI because we see it being a fantastic new tool. But
yes.
I feel definitely detached about the cost.
I had an interesting discussion with a friend after because he shared a ticket with me because you could buy a dual ticket and he's after the workshop he says, oh, this is just a century-old standard being reintroduced under the hype of AI. So he did enjoy the workshop, but what he was most interested in is he works for an fintech startup and they have a GPU fleet, and he's like, Vince, what I really want to know is how do I run these things all on prem? And I'm like, I don't want to waste my time on that. But we did end up talking about maybe related to this with all of the things that are happening across the world and sovereignty and concerns, and what if these too big to fail companies of AI go away? I said to him, well, you can be the doom prepper. You can probably build a bunker while you're at it. And you can also build your inference cluster and make sure that you're ready when all of this collapses and you still have your locally hosted
Exactly,
GLM
exactly. I'm
4.5.
definitely of. I mean, it's dangerous when people want to prep and things like this. You basically want the world to burn in a way, because now I have my nuclear bunker and my local Mac Mini running my AI model. I'm ready for the future. I mean, how can you think that way? It's so
No, I
stupid.
want to have a friend like that. I'm like, yeah, you go do
No.
that. I'll be
No,
your
we
friend.
should be
I'll support you.
building something together sustainably. It's just crazy. And like, and
No,
if someone and if
you
someone
gotta
tells
hope for
me,
the best, plan for the worst. Okay.
I don't believe it. Like, if someone tells me what the real cost of Claude is, I want to tell them the pricing plan. What is the Claude price? Are you on the max plan now?
It's not yet end of January. I think I will. Actually, I need to check when is the billing date. Because I
But
have
like,
canceled a decent amount of subscriptions. I think I can go
how do
on
you
to
see the
the.
damn pricing now? Where's the bloody table? Okay. Yeah, like to be honest, I
Where is
really,
my billing
I really
cycle?
hate how the world works and sometimes, because if someone asks me
The has
what
and
is
the
the
has
cost,
not.
if someone asks me what is the cost of I want to say $17 per month. That's what I want to say. And people say, no, Kai, no, you're wrong. It's going to dry up the rivers. I
There
mean,
was just
I guess
in
it's just
Australia.
Luddites, basically.
I don't think they're completely wrong. Some people are really affected, but there's documentaries about small cities in the US where they just went and built a huge power plant, and the whole wildlife is impacted by the runoff water and whatever,
Come
and
on.
the actual lake getting warmer and killing the fish,
Come on,
and there are. It's not come on, Kai. There are people that are living near these power plants affected by it, and they're feeling the pain much more than us. I believe that. I believe that,
I
and
don't want to believe it. It's just doomer talk. Doomer talk. Oh, okay. Going back to the agenda. So, would you
it's 150 Singapore dollars for me to get the max plan. When is my billing date? I should get it before my next bill.
get on it? Get on it.
Wow, you're really pushing me here. I'm gonna say it's your fault. When my wife complains, I'm gonna say Kai told me to do it. Oh,
Well,
renews on February 22. Oh, I just renewed. Look at
we
that. It renewed 3 days ago.
we
No
are
problem.
AI. We are AI astronauts. It's like there's the ship ready to go to the next planet, and Vincent is going. I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure. I want to go
Are you on the
max.
max plan?
Well, I
Uh, the-
I have a special key which I'm using. Shall we say? Okay, so let's go back to this life cycle thing. Would you add anything to this? I mean, would you see this 1 to 8 vibe code, create a spec, technical design, task list, let the agents implement it, have some sort of testing framework, and
so
then
you shared
deploying
with
it?
me a website from, and I scrolled on the website on my phone and it kind of broke. So I didn't want to. I did make a video, but I felt bad. And I actually didn't manage to send it. But I couldn't understand the purpose of that website. But it sounds like it's related to this. It's like, what is the AI um, work adoption? Is that what that website is about? Because I couldn't really get it from the
Well,
website.
I don't know what website we're talking about.
I will send you the link. It's well, maybe I just mentioned the last bit of the link. Uh, but actually more excited to talk about the screenshot I shared below because which is about all the new tools that have been added to Cloud Code that I didn't even realize. It's called /AI/works.
Slash. Oh no, let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that, please. Let's not
Because
talk
I
about
was reading it, I couldn't
cut,
understand
cut, cut,
what that
cut,
is.
cut.
I didn't say anything. I just read out the last bit of the URL.
Anyway, I hate the animals that paste in screenshots of text. But should we talk about this quickly? I
It
mean,
was
to
on
be
my
honest,
phone. No,
and
like there's a couple of things in there. And one
some
more.
new tools.
Yeah, so the fact that now you can tell Cloud to store its plans directly in your workspace so that other agents can also see them is actually quite nice. So I like that you can then
Yeah,
commit those plans.
the Claude. I think
Um,
Claude does have quite good documentation about all this sort of stuff.
it does, but like seeing a summary, another one that the guy who wrote Spec It at Microsoft and promoted it, Dan, he's now in Anthropic. He also shared about he has a new YouTube video where it was like a very
Oh,
underutilized function that most people are not using properly within cloud. What was it again?
please share it. Please share it.
Let me find. I'm definitely. There it is. Hold on.
I wanted to talk about web search, actually. Do you trust that Claude can do a web search and find stuff off the internet? This is something I'm always confused about. Do I need to configure some other tooling so that it can basically Google? Because essentially, the only reason I use Gemini is because I'm assuming that it can search the web better than Claude. You know what I mean? Like, how do you make sure that Claude has the latest information? Can you rely on its web search tool, or do you use an MCP?
You mean like when you're using it and you're trying to make a plan and you're asking it to go research some libraries? I don't
Yeah,
really trust it. I always go back to Chat GPT and I can see it search things and I can see the links and then I put that back
yeah.
into Cloud.
This is one thing that Claude doesn't seem to do all that well.
Mm. I'm trying to find it because it was like something that I also never really used much, but it's not on his. Where do I see my watch history? Like me,
Oh,
my, my.
it's hidden away in YouTube. It's like
It's
on
ridiculous.
the left or something. It's ridiculous.
I have.
Another thing is like if Theo's watching, I actually wanted to
Oh, history.
I wanted to like bookmark his video about like good bits, and I wanted to somehow refer. I guess I could
Wait,
just record the time code, but like I wish there was a way in YouTube to bookmark things
he
easier.
has a different channel. I subscribe to it now. So it's called the Cloud Code Feature Senior Engineers Keep Missing, and it was custom/command hooks, kill hooks. Okay, it was.
Okay,
I remember.
let's probably
It's
wrap up.
it's
And
it's a hook that allows the agent to validate its work when it's doing something. So when you execute a custom command hook, it will then also run when you run a custom command, it will invoke a hook. So after
oh
you've
yeah,
done
yeah,
this
yeah.
command, it
I
will
use
then.
hooks. I use hooks. The cool thing is that you could just tell Claude to set up your hooks instead of messing around with pre-commit crap. Yeah. Anyway, I got to get ready to take my kids to the swimming pool. So, what did you? What does the future hold? Did you manage to have your interview and stuff like this? And did you?
I have to go into an office, but I asked them to do it the week after. What my like immediate future is the pre-release of the Terraform CDK fork.
Okay.
And we've managed to make all of the tasks pass, and a documentation website. I'm trying to port that over, and then for later, I look like I have some project that is coming that I'm excited about,
Cool. So
and
you're a busy guy, I assume. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm hoping to. Yeah, well, I'm going to go to FOSDEM and config management camp next week. And I'm hoping just to chat to people like I am with you and just be excited about the future. I suppose that's the best I could hope for.
Oh, there's one thing I really like in Cloud Code that's on the screenshot, which is when you have yes, no, you can tab, and on the no, there's a highlight that you can say tab. So you press tab, and then and you can add some
Oh
details about
yeah,
why you don't accept
yeah,
it.
I know about
Apparently,
that.
you can do that on yes too. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can accept
You,
and
you,
give it
you
some. I
and
didn't
give
know
it some
that.
extra context. Yeah. Oh man,
Mm.
it's so exciting with Claude. It's so exciting. I couldn't even get. I tried open code. I couldn't get it to even run on Archie. It just goes. It's just a blank screen. Anyway, thanks.
What is a
But
blank screen? In inside VS Code or
or
where?
when I run open code on Archie, it just opens up a. It just does nothing. I thought.
I told you, Omarshi completely broke on my update. It was a very painful update.
Yeah, I think I know why, because it doesn't seem to snapshot the boundary on the home directory is not very clear. So you could, I think what you did, right, is that you made some weird home dir configuration and that broke your
I
system.
No, yeah, I mean, in a way, ultimately, it's something like that. It's because I use YQ version 4, and the Omarchi templates have some expressions that only work with version 3. So my global path was pointing to version 4, and that broke
Uh,
Omarchi. But it was painful because, like, yes,
so
you have
you couldn't, you
your
could, I mean,
hyperland configs for which
if you just
versions.
updated the package, couldn't you roll back using the snapshots?
I was reading what I could do, and one of the issues was talking about these hyperland configs not being part of the snapshot. So I didn't even try because I knew that if I would roll back, I would still have the problem because all of my hyperland configs were messed up because they were all they added templating for the colors, for the theme colors into the hyperland configs, and that templating depends on version 3 of YQ, the YAML like JQ but for YQ. So because of that, all of my templates were messed up. None of the hyperland stuff was working because it was breaking halfway down. None of the screens, like the menu bar,
Mm.
everything was gone. And it was very painful. But the fix was ultimately simple. Like, just make sure that YQ3 is globally set and you only use other version of
So,
YQ
so how
when you
did you
set that.
fix it? So you didn't roll back to a snapshot
Uh,
then?
I tried many things, running some of the commands that DHH was providing in some of the issue threads, which was like running Pacman, rerunning. Using the default theme is one of the main troubleshoot ways, is to make sure you're on the default theme and running that command again because it resets most of
So
the
running on
configurations.
the default.
There is a like set
Oh,
theme, and you
default
have to go back.
theme. Oh, yeah,
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 theme
that
like
makes
the
sense.
Tokyo night one is default, and that
Yeah.
if you're on another theme, you should try running back to the default theme and then go back to your theme or whatever.
Painful.
Um, Very painful, but so happy when it was fixed. I did spend like I think half a day or maybe
Welcome
three
to
three quarter
Arch
of a day.
Linux, Arch Linux lifestyle. But I mean,
I
that's
want out, Kai. I'm tired now.
you want out. But it doesn't surprise me. Hyperland with all its freaking configs and these
Oh my God.
theming, these things break things.
I still have so many NVIDIA driver issues with Chromium and other flickering issues. And the lock screen, I mean, Hyperland with NVIDIA drivers is apparently a super painful combo.
So
I don't have,
do you have one of those dedicated GPU things, or do you have
yeah, so
a
when I bought my motherboard, sorry, my
do you
CPU,
have a video card, an NVIDIA video card or something? No, you have
when
a
I bought my
laptop, right?
Intel CPU, I bought the one that doesn't come with the integrated graphic processor, which I didn't know. But like I have my dedicated discrete GPU anyway, so I was like, no problem, right? Until you run Arch. Because then when you have some NVIDIA driver issues, you get a lot more pain because
I
of your
I would
driver.
sell your NVIDIA card at a profit and buy one of those Intel Arcs. Job done.
Why would I? What is Arc? Is that like a discrete GPU of Intel?
Yeah, I think it's what
Why
their
would I
brand
go there?
because their GPUs probably have good support under Linux, probably.
But how am I going to prepare for the AI apocalypse if I don't have an NVIDIA GPU? I have some life-saving GPU, and you're telling me to sell it? Kai, you are the worst Doom prepper. Go take your kids to swim.
Okay, guys, if you got this far, please like the podcast and leave a review. And I don't know what else you should do. Don't doom prep like an idiot.
Worst
Thank you.
advice ever.
Bye.